Hello, this is CHistrue, and this is kind of a postscript to my Stefan Molyneux video. It'll be a little bit over the map, so stay with me. On my first Stefan Molyneux video, I talked about STEM education and how it is that a lot of the more conservatively minded people want to de-emphasize the liberal arts and the humanities and flood the market with more engineers and more physicists so that their wages can go down. Oops. They don't tell you that, do they? Yeah, if you're an engineer, you do not want more engineers. If you're a physicist, you do not want more physicists. That Republican character, one of those jerks running for office, said that we need more welders and less philosophers. If you're a welder, I don't think you agree with that. Not if you want your job and not if you value it. And frankly, to be honest, I think we need more philosophers in the United States. We need philosophy to be something popular and widespread the way that it is in France and in various other European countries. We have too few philosophers and too many jerks. Now, I would much rather have politicians be educated in STEM than in law. We have way too many lawyers. And I would much rather that engineers have power and influence than bankers. We have way too many bankers maneuvering things on Wall Street and way too many lawyers maneuvering things in Washington, D.C. It's getting disgusting. However, I would much rather than either one have somebody who is a specialist in history, philosophy, or political science. Now, I have great respect for engineers. I have them in my family. I myself am studying electrical engineering on my own. I'm taking a little course in electronics, but I'm boning up with capacitance and the potential across a capacitor and you name it, I'm studying it. All my old textbooks from college. But I need to be honest. I do not want engineers running the country. I want people who are knowledgeable in political science, history, and philosophy. That, just like I do not want political scientists running the electrical grid or running a nuclear power plant. Everybody has their specialty. And I would also say that the push to flood the market with more engineers, even people from other countries they can bring in and exploit. It's not just the Republicans. I don't want to imply that the Democrats, that corporate America, that the scientific establishment and the National Science Foundation and PBS, that they have their part in this too. And in a lot of cases, a lot of liberal-minded people, especially very, very sort of uber-secular liberal people, worship science. And I completely understand their love of science, sharing in it myself. I've been a STEM educator. I've been a math teacher. But this worship can reach a point where people who are trained in philosophy or in history or in social science or in English or literature, that these skills become devalued. So one has a very strange bedfellows alliance across the spectrum to denigrate those skills. You sense a trap. Especially those of you who are in engineering or in the sciences, or in blue-collar professions that are highly technical. Do you sense a trap here? Two's company, three's a bit of a crowd. How about hundreds and thousands? Better have your seniority. That's all I can say. So, in the final analysis, the purpose of education, to my mind, is not supposed to be about creating a docile workforce. Now, that may be that the Prussian model of education has its roots in that, but that is not the ideal. The ideal of education, as Jefferson pointed out, and as other early expositors of not just public education, a la the Prussian model, but of the particularly American idea of a free, universal, and liberal arts-based education, as the people back in the 18th and 19th century who wanted this pointed out. It is essential for democracy that we have more philosophers, not less. And it is essential for the living standard of welders that we have less welders, not more. So that's my bit of a rant on that. I hope that people who are welders and engineers understand what I mean. It's not an attack on your profession. Quite the contrary, I'm the good guy here. A long time ago, there were right-wing talk radio show hosts who said, well, we need to end welfare, we need to end welfare, we need all these people to go out there and get jobs. Well, they did, and guess whose job they went for? Yours. Oh, and yes, we need free trade so that all these people who are Central American farmers now have to go get jobs, and guess where they went? Yours. It's not their fault that they're having to come here. The people on HB1 visas, it's not their fault either. It's the global economic situation. Do not fall for the narrative that they pushed in the wake of the Occupy Wall Street movement, that it's all these liberal arts majors and demonizing them. Do not fall for that. They can demonize you too, Mr. Computer Programmer. Especially now that Apple is standing up to the feds. They can start demonizing you also. Okay, I want to balance it out a little bit with where I think Stefan Molyneux, I kind of dogged on him a little bit. I want to say where I think that right-wing libertarians may raise important questions, and that is, no, I don't think that they should call themselves anarchists, but on the other hand, they may raise important questions when it comes to issues around individual liberty. For instance, if it's a question between the purity of a particular ideology, let's say socialism or left-wing anarchism, as represented by Anarchopac, and I don't want to pick a fight with him. I'm just mentioning his name. I have a lot of respect for him. I respect his erudition. I respect his videos. I subscribe to him. Don't want to make him my enemy, okay? But I'm just pointing out that he would tend to come from the very much of the purist, revolutionary, left-wing tradition, that if it comes down to a question between individual dignity and autonomy and the purity of that, I think that any sensible person would go for individual dignity and autonomy. Now, 19th century classical liberals and Stefan Molyneux would probably agree. Now, they would twist that around to say that that means capitalism. That by individual liberty and autonomy, that means capitalism. I would not agree with that. Okay, in other words, I would not go to that point with them, but I would agree with them that, for instance, between Edmund Burke and some of the supporters of the French Revolution, the conservative, Edmund Burke, made the point that, do you want to take an ideology and exalt it above actual humanity and actual human conditions? I'm not a follower of Edmund Burke. I'm not an 18th century traditionalist, but I think it's a valid question. In what sense do we want to take a grand abstraction and use it as a pretext for any kind of ideological violence, whether it's religious or political or anything? Who in their right mind would not have preferred to have Louis XVI or the Tsar of Russia or the Emperor of China remain on the throne and have them pursue a more parliamentary model of reform, the way that England did? That doesn't mean 19th century English capitalism. I'm not saying that. Remember how far England went to some kind of reform. Until Margaret Thatcher, they actually went pretty far. Thatcher reversed that. That's another question there. But they were able to put ideas out there on the ideological market. The British working class managed to accrue a lot of power. They went far more ahead than people who took the violent route. And England preserved individual liberty. So I think that, again, I'm not in favor of Stefan Molyneux's idolatry of the market, but I do think that, in fairness, and I don't think he should call himself an anarchist. I don't think that he should. But in fairness, I do think that there's something about those who uphold some kind of revolutionary purism where, uncritically, where it becomes a fetish, my opinion.